Okay, everyone, look back at me. You can be on video. We made it.
Okay. I think you guys would agree. I'm pretty certain.
Oh,
Could be wrong.
Oh, yeah.
People tend to like birds more than fruit flies. You guys agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's a sample of 15 of our 60 finches. Just so you can see how different the beaks really are.
Oh, wow.
Okay. But if we like fruit flies, then maybe we'd have a sample of those. That's you're doing it the wrong way. This one goes first.
I would like to see a video of the different fruit fly dances.
Oh, yeah. I'll make that one of my missions in life.
It takes a long time for the beak to modify? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. So why do I say that? Oh, by the way, there's statement or question? Statement, yeah? Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Hungry, I need breakfast now.
Right. So Benin brings up an interesting point. Does it take a long time for the beaks to go from one size to another? And my answer is not necessarily. And there's a good reason why I say that. You guys want to know the reason why?
Yes.
Because Princeton University studied it.
Well,
Yeah?
if they did, then it has to be true.
Princeton University has two scientists. One's named Peter Grant, the other one's named Rosemary Grant. They're married. And Peter and Rosemary Grant have spent about almost 40 years of their life on the Galapagos Islands studying this question. How long does it take for a beak to go from one size to another size? And, different shape, right? And this is what they did. There's an island in the Galapagos Islands about the same size as Diamond Head. So that's a small island, right? If you take Diamond Head and push it out into the water. And they go to this island and they put nets up. And they sit in lawn chairs next to their nets. And they wait for a bird to fly into the net. And they run up and they grab the bird. They measure all the body parts. They take a little bit of DNA and they put a tag on the ankle of the bird and they let it go. And since the island is the same size as Diamond Head, they can do this to every single bird on the whole entire island. So every bird is known. Another thing they do is they go around the island during once a month and they draw these 1 meter square plots and they get a spoon and they start to pick up and dig up every single seed in that square meter and they put it on the graph. How many of such and such seeds are here? How many of this kind of seed are there? And how many of that kind of seed are there? In January versus February, and in March versus June, and so on and so forth, right? Is that clear, what they do so far? Well, they've been doing this for 40 years now. And one of the 40 years, just one, it didn't rain at all on the island the whole entire year. Not even one drop of rain. So the first thing they were noticing is when they were drawing those square meter plots and digging up seeds, throughout the year there was less and less and less seeds. The reason why, because it didn't rain, the trees didn't flower, which meant the trees didn't fruit, which meant that the trees didn't spit out more seeds. And another thing they noticed was that even though all the seeds were disappearing, there was one seed that was still fairly abundant compared to all the rest. And that happened to be a big, hard seed that most of the birds couldn't break open. And then towards the end of that same year, they had to add one more job to their list of jobs. And that was to pick up dead birds all over the ground. Because the birds were starving to death. But since they've already tagged and identified all these birds, they could look at the features of the dying birds versus the features of the living birds. And what they noticed was almost all of the birds that were surviving were the ones with the statistically larger beak. Because those were the ones that could actually break open that last remaining food source, the big hard seeds. And so the next year, when it finally rained, and those birds bred and produced more birds, you have a whole new population of birds with statistically larger beaks than last year's population. So that happened over one single breeding season. So it doesn't necessarily take a long time. It just takes a certain kind of change in the environment, yeah? And so that might take a long time for the change in the environment to happen. But the process itself according to Peter and Rosemary Grant's research, doesn't take a long time. Is that clear? Yes. So that's a pretty cool study, yeah?